The two championship contenders giving it everything.
No, Mikey. No, Mikey.
It's lights out.
No, Mikey.
And away we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Pit Stop Pals. It's been so long since we had an episode. I totally forgot we had the updated intro, Gator. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, you should. You probably saw my face there. I was like, "Oh my god, how good does this sound?" Finally, you're talking about something I know something about for once.
Exactly, that's right. It's like you can't have a break this big early in the season, man. Talk about your all-time buzzkill. 3 races in and shut down shop for a month. It makes no sense.
No, and like as we were discussing, the whole trips around the globe make no sense either. I don't understand. It's not like these venues there's scheduling conflicts. I think F1 could do such a better job of having the races, multiple races in those locations or around or close, cut down on travel. I'm sure the drivers would love it instead of going back and forth and having to deal with time changes and sleep schedules and all those types of things. We were saying, like, have a month in the US. I'm sure they would love that. You hit Miami, you hit Houston, you finish in Vegas now. Crazy that they don't schedule it to stay on the certain part of the globe that they're at for that amount of time. I think it would not only be more appealing to the fans, but then you could see the breaks. Like, okay, yeah, we're in this area, and then we take a break, then we go somewhere else. I just think it makes sense. Maybe it'll happen, but probably not.
Well, and it's something that we'll discuss a little bit later on here as we transition to the next race. But the reason that came up, we were just talking. They're going from Azerbaijan over to Miami and then back overseas again. There's a 2-week break there, but we do have 4 races this month, which is nice considering what we just had to go through for the month of April. It's the Pit Stop Pals. It's on the Nielson Media Network. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you do subscribe to the podcast on all of your podcasting platforms. Actually, quick Pit Stop Pals story. I met my sisters. I was golfing in Victoria a couple weeks ago. Met my sisters for breakfast. They came out to Bear Mountain. We were staying, and we're sitting there eating breakfast, and my sister goes to my brother-in-law's dad. She goes, my father-in-law just wanted me to tell you that he loves your F1 podcast. I was like, what? Like, that's the most random thing ever. But yeah, anyway, that was kind of nice. So people are listening, Gager. That's good. And hopefully we can provide a little bit more entertainment than maybe we got from this race. Now, you did say overall you liked the weekend so much, but the race might have been the worst part of it.
Well, it was leading up, and I was like, at first I was hesitant, Dusty, of the whole, qualifying for the race and then having the sprint separated. But we got to see more qualifying and essentially more racing, and it was unique. I loved it. I loved the first few days. I found them quite interesting. It didn't hurt that George was muscling up to Max a little bit and wrecking his side pod, but I was excited to see the race. Just Leclerc had one of his best weekend of the season,
undoubtedly.
Just unreal how he was able to put that Ferrari car. Maybe they're coming along, but great weekend from him. I was excited to see that. But again, we've all played a video game in Baku with that long straight. I thought about this right away. That Red Bull car, Dusty, once he gets on that thing, it's just gonna blow past guys. I mean, the ultimate flex is I just think that they weren't even opening the DRS by the end of it in that thing. If they had, they didn't even need it. And it was almost unfair. But I listened after your show today. I loved the angry listener.
The angry Max. Yeah. Well,
yeah, because
Let's just quickly clarify. We're wearing these Red Bull outfits provided to us by Mobile One, who are hoping to get back on for the rest of the season. But we're not wearing these because we're big Max guys. We're wearing them because obviously they look awesome. I guess you could say we're Checo guys because Max is just rubbing people the wrong way, Gager. Like, I don't think I don't think Max has the right personality to handle this type of success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think, and that's why you see him. I think there's hints. Oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't think he likes the spotlight. Like this guy, from what I'm reading about Max, all he does is race, either virtually or in real life. Like he has a simulator in the plane where he can go and race. So when he doesn't want to, like the guy's just a racer. That's all he cares about, and he doesn't want to do anything else. It was nice to see him on this season of Drive to Survive, though, because I think he
Yeah.
adds that little that personality that that's always pissed off when someone races as aggressive as he does. So I love it. I think he's great for the sport. I'd like to see even more confrontation. God, it would be great if Checo could kind of push him, and if some other cars could. Oh my, like just to see like Christian Horner kind of downplaying Checo's win is just like
How do you do that if you're Checo? Like you're fired up, you won, you're like, team will be fired up, and Horner, you got kind of lucky. I was just like, don't be a dick, man. Like everybody knows you're Max's little bitch, but let Checo have his moment. Like show the guy some support. Come on.
Well, maybe we'll see another crash in qualifying at Monaco.
Yeah,
who knows?
right.
Yeah. Well, but it's going to come down to that. Like, I think Max is great, but Checo's got the same car. He's got to find a way to find those extra tenths and push Max. He's got to start pushing Max and starting on pole and putting a little bit more pressure, because then we're going to see some real fireworks, I think, with the squabbles with the team, because Max just thinks he's Red Bull, right? Whoever else is there is just to be there. But
like they could have Danny Rick in this car, they'd still be 1-2 in the standings right now. Like that's what this Red Bull car is, Gage. Like they were 20 seconds, 21 seconds ahead of everybody else on the circuit. Yeah. Like that's just, I mean, it's a buzzkill. It's a buzzkill, and I don't know. And now, maybe because of the straights here, and they were able to, we saw how fast that car moved, different tracks, it's going to work out differently, but Red Bull's always going to be right up near the top. I mean, somebody might sneak in here or there, or they got some engine issues or something along those lines. But the way that they just toyed with the rest of the field in Azerbaijan is just, it's troubling moving forward for me. I'm just like, come on, who's going to push these guys?
Well, yeah, because through the first part of the weekend, I was kind of thinking, what's Charles going to do here? Because his middle sectors with those tight corners, and that's where that Mercedes car excels, right? In the tight corners, the handling. But it wasn't that too much of a discrepancy between that and the Red Bull. It was a little bit better, but not good enough to make a huge difference in the overall race. Yeah, there's I don't know, Dusty. This is it looks like another Red Bull kind of runaway.
Which is why we want
year.
Checo to push Max, right? So we can get some of that drama down the stretch.
We want some drama. I need drama in my life. I don't say that often, but in my racing, I do.
Okay, now there will be drama the rest of the way down. We know that, like with Alonso and what he's doing this year, and like Charles Leclerc finally having that good weekend. Lewis Hamilton. We'll talk about Lewis in a second. I was reading some winners and losers on the F1 website from this race. We can get to that in a second, but. I mean, Carlos Sainz didn't have a bad race either. Like, Ferrari's had some bad breaks. Ferrari's car hasn't looked great to start the year. But Ferrari, if anybody's got to be feeling great about themselves, it's got to be Ferrari coming out of this race, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely a step forward for them. Like, at least they were challenging on the podium finally and getting Alonso off of there. Charles, like we said, Charles was unbelievable. And even Carlos, Carlos to me seems to be that driver that he has struggles at the beginning of the year all the time. Like he's just, and by the end of the year, he starts getting a little bit better. Maybe he gets, the car feels better. I don't know what it is, but he seems like he comes on late. It'd be nice to have him kind of push Charles, because I thought there would be more competition, at least between those two this year. But again, it's Charles all the way. Gosh. How do you trust Ferrari, though?
I know. That's the thing.
This is what happened last year when they showed the promise up to kind of around this point. You're going, oh my gosh, like I think Charles was actually leading the
He
championship.
was 3 weeks
around-
in last
yeah,
year. Yeah.
and so you were like, wow, this is, and then it just fell right off the cliff. So don't. I'm still in second gear with Ferrari. Before I get into third, I got to see a little bit more in the weekends.
It's so funny because we've been in this for a couple years now, right? Like, but I'll get messages or texts from people who are like lifetime Ferrari fans, and they're like, "This is just what we deal with now, Dusty." Like they've given up. Like Ferrari fans have basically given up on life right now. So that's a little concerning.
I read those messages, Dusty, as like I'm in a villa in Tuscany, like just some old guy like having a glass of wine, and just old mafioso guy just saying, yes, this is what we do.
This is how Ferrari has been for ages. Okay, Alonso Stroll. I mean, I think once again, Aston Martin has to be pretty happy with what they were able to accomplish. Alonso making a great move to kind of slide up the one spot. Not a lot of passing. I mean, this is a tough track. Gager mentioned the video game earlier. I play this. This is now Monaco, but I don't even know if I've ever finished a Monaco race in the video game. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It's just, I skip it. Like I can't even do it. I'm like, screw it, screw Monaco. But this one's always challenging as well. Once you kind of, you got the big straight stretch, and then you get in, and then you go up and around. Like it's extremely tight. So anybody was able to make any sort of movement, especially outside of the two sort of areas where there was some passing. I mean, it's a brilliant move if you can do it anywhere else.
Yeah, and what excites me more is just with the Aston Martin car, with the extra time in the wind tunnel to see where they're going to be, right? They still said that it's going to take some time, but the gap that they'll be able to close quicker than say Ferrari or Mercedes towards Red Bull. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Stroll with another good weekend too. Like
he's got to be happy.
He's got to be really happy. Fernando's the best on the radios. Like when they were talking about they're actually working as a team, and great move in qualifying with Fernando and Stroll to get into Q3, and because Fernando actually gave him a little toe down the straight so he could get up there. So it's I think we're actually seeing, and you've heard this before about Alonso. He's a great team guy, great to have on the team, provides a lot of information, and they're working together. It's kind of refreshing, I guess. You don't usually see that with two drivers that are competing at all times, but hopefully that we can get those two up there, because no one's. I love how Alonso say he can have a go if he wants, but yeah, we'll do whatever.
He is at 27 points already, Lance Stroll. He had 18 all of last season. So everything that he's accomplished already is more than he was able to do last year. And obviously with a great teammate here this year and a very good car. And we'll take a look at all three of these teams grouped together here in a second. George Russell does not make Q3, has to start where he did. Lewis Hamilton, overall, what was the article I was reading today? I thought it was rather interesting. So Lewis Hamilton had his worst finish of the year, but they said the fact that overall, in the overall standings, he's fourth in the driver standings right now, Gager, with a car that would be ranked behind Aston Martin, Ferrari, and Red Bull is actually a pretty positive thing that Hamilton's accomplished so far.
Well, let's see the direction of the car. I mean, Mercedes made a lot of moves with personnel over the break, and they're kind of committed to this new vision of where they want the car to go. And yeah, I believe this was the race where, wasn't it last year, the porpoising on the Mercedes on that long straight, it hurt me watching the helmet cams with that Mercedes car. And it wasn't like Hamilton got out and was holding his back afterwards, like in excruciating pain. So it was nice to see that they still were bobbing quite a bit, actually, Dusty. I haven't done my full review of the helmet cams, but they're still, the Red Bull just it's like it's on rails. Like there's hardly any movement. They just have that thing always just perfectly aligned in the right window for their drivers, compared to when you look at other helmet cams where you see a lot more bouncing down the straights and things like that. So, yeah,
I mean, from this Mercedes, like, what are they going to do this Mercedes car? What, like, I had somebody describe it to me in a text as Mercedes has designed a tractor this year, basically. Like,
yeah, no, I don't expect anything from them. Just I am shocked that they didn't have a new look at the beginning of the season and just going with what they had from the previous year. Maybe Toto's too busy doing his business courses at Harvard. I don't know what's he's more focused on that. But and they're talking about Lewis like next year. What's he gonna do? I mean, I don't see him going to a team that's not competitive at all. I think we could possibly be seeing Lewis Hamilton in either retired or I think it's only retirement if Mercedes doesn't show anything or this car doesn't get any better or show that it's competitive by the end of the season and battling for podiums. I don't think we see Lewis Hamilton again, to tell you the truth.
What's Stroll's contract like? I know that's a tough spot because of Daddy, but I mean, you throw Alonso and Lewis Hamilton at the tail end of their careers to attack Red Bull and these Aston Martins. I'd have some time for that. I mean, that would be kind of fun. Highly, highly unlikely, but I was going to ask you. It's funny you brought that up because I was going to say, like, does Lewis Hamilton wrap his career with Mercedes, or do we see him in another ride to try to take one more run at some championships along the way? And I don't even know where you'd go to do that right now, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's the Ferrari seat next year, right? With I think Carlos's contract's done for next year. But God, that'd be weird to see Lewis in red.
Here, I've got the contract. I've got the contracts right here. So Max is still the end of 2028. Yep. Checo's the end of 2024. So he's under. Now, I don't know about like ways out of these contracts or anything. Charles and Carlos are both signed to the end of next season. George Russell to the end of next season. McLaren's wrapped up. You're not going to. Aston Martin has Fernando Alonso to the end of 2024 and a seat to be determined for next season. So, I don't know. Right.
I don't know. Yeah. Well,
I mean, if you're Aston Martin and you finish second in the race in the constructor standings this year, and you're sitting there going, like, nothing against Stroll, he's putting his time here and everything, but if you really want to take a run at it, I mean, that would be fun. That'd be really fun. Doubt it, but it'd be fun.
If this, I don't think it would be even necessary if they can get the car to the competitive level, Dusty. I think Alonso can beat Max. Like he's got it in him. He just needs the proper tools to do it. He's unbelievable what he can do. Like and just how knowledgeable he is and sending back the calibrations of the brakes that he finds are working quite well for his partner to like. It's just he's awesome. And I think he's dating Taylor Swift. So
yeah, well, that's is he or isn't he? This is driving me nuts. He keeps hinting at it, but people are like, "No, this is not happening." What a pull for Fernando Alonso if he was managed to have that work out for him. That would be excellent. Gager, what else stood out to you from this race? We talked about the big teams. I mean, not a bad weekend for McLaren considering where they've been lately. What else was there for you?
Yeah, I like Piastri. I like what he's like only a few races in. Alex Albon in the Williams, and I know it has good straight, like it's good on the straights. I find what he's doing is quite impressive in that Williams car. That's I have to keep my eye on him for my fantasy group because I think they're getting closer too. Disappointing to see. I was kind of pulling for Nick DeVries, to tell you the truth, Dusty. Like,
it's been a tough start for him, hey, buddy?
Very, very tough start because I liked him on F1 TV, how knowledgeable he was, and I loved his insight. And then he just has that banger. He finishes 10th in his first race, and you see how happy everyone is. But yeah, struggling right now, struggling again this weekend. I'd like to see him push a little bit and get up there. Alfa Romeo, man, they've just fallen off a cliff here. They looked so good at the beginning of last year, and then they kind of faltered a bit. I don't know. Maybe it's that car's not so good on the street circuits. Maybe That was a kind of a disappointment to me as well. But yeah, like you said, I want to see Lando. I want to see this McLaren get up there and see Lando fighting again. That was still one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in my short F1 career is when he didn't change tires in the rain and lost. That was just crushing.
That was so tough. Yeah.
That was just terrible. So I feel for that guy and the season that they had last year. But hey, man, they looked a lot better this weekend. So hopefully they can keep this momentum going.
All right, so super quick turnaround here. We'll have another episode next week, obviously. Miami Grand Prix, Gager, they're flying over here. They'll have one race, then they get a week off, and then back over leading up towards Monaco and everything there. I don't know. Have you looked much into this Miami Grand Prix yet? Are we expecting Red Bull to absolutely roll here again, or is somebody going to get in the mix here and spoil the party for Christian Horner?
I nothing points to that at all, Dusty. It's I mean, it's a different track. Lots more hoopla and things going on, but I'm pretty sure you're going to see a Red Bull. At least there's going to be 2 Red Bulls on the podium. Don't know who the third is. I'm going to probably go with Fernando at this point, just because that Aston Martin has looked good on those types of courses. But yeah,
this is what it's
Charles
come down to, though, right? We're like, oh, who's going to get that third spot on the podium? That's so exciting for everybody else, which is, I mean, it's disappointing, but in a way, it's still find a way to be entertained by it, right? So, and then, you know, Red Bull, maybe I shouldn't say this, but Red Bull will have some issues somewhere along the way, right? Like Max is going to be in 7th one day by accident, you know, bad pit stop or a safety car, and he'll come out and be like, oh, the car's not operating well. I'm going to pull it in and retire it. And you're going to be like, and then it opens up the field. It opens up the field a little bit. I mean, unless there's a massive resurgence by one of these other teams. Because right now, if you were to power rank everybody else, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes, or Mercedes, Ferrari, Gager? I mean,
I would, after this week, I got to go with Ferrari.
Ferrari.
They made the biggest jump, right? I think they made the biggest gains over this weekend. We haven't seen, at least they're getting the strategy right. You know, like there's not been too many.
We haven't been sitting here going, man, Ferrari sure is stupid this year, right? Like,
so, and I mean, obviously the strategy all depends on where you are. And I think, especially in that last race, everything was solidified pretty early. But hopefully this weekend we get to see, because the weather, we'll see about tire deg. Hopefully that plays into it. Who knows? Maybe even a little bit of rain to just throw a wrench into some things. That would kind of be nice, because I hope that tire choice and weather conditions start to become a factor, and then more strategy takes place and things like that. Because really, reliability on all these cars has been really good so far. Things seems to be worked out in that respect. So. Red Bull's got it right all last year with the strategy. They, according to Horner, they missed up because of the safety car there, and Checo won. But hopefully we see some falters on the Red Bull side with some strategy where they have to do something special to get back in the race.
Taking a look here at the Miami weather for this weekend, and slight chance of rain, but not until Monday. Outside of that, 29, 28. And 28 on Sunday. And this is like a 1:30. We get the afternoon race on Sunday, right? And then it's back-to-back 7 o'clock starts with them heading out to Italy and Monaco as well. So we've got that. So, I'll go. I'll throw out a little prediction. I'll go Max, Alonso, Checo. Let's go with that for a 1-2-3 finish. Yeah.
I like where Checo's at. I think there's some confidence there. I'm going to go Checo, and I'm going to go Alonso, and I'm going to go Max, because Max is all poopy pants because George damaged his car.
Buddy, if Checo wins again, Max might have him removed from the team. Like Danny Ricciardo will be driving by the time they get to Monaco. That's something that, in fact, considering what happened in Monaco last time, I wouldn't be surprised if Max forces them to have Danny drive anyway, because you can't have Checo crash again.
When is he testing? Danny's testing soon too.
Is he testing right away?
Yeah. Shoot, I should have written that down. But that's gonna be one of the most watched things. Is him, and I'm gonna watch that, him in the Red Bull car, and see what he can.
Be very
what he can
interested
lay
to see
down.
what he does, right? Like especially compared to that shitbox McLaren he was stuck with last year.
Oh my God, exactly.
Yeah. No, that'll be good. All right, so we will have another episode of the Pit Stop Pals pretty on a regular basis now. Obviously, with some races firing up again, we'll be recapping what happens in Miami early next week. So make sure you watch for that. And if you've been watching on Twitter or on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Pit Stop Pals podcast. Gager, we'll catch up with you next week, buddy. Enjoy Miami.
Can't wait.
The two championship contenders giving it everything.
No, Mikey.